For a Marine in 1967 Vietnam, the biggest fear wasn't always the enemy, it was the rain. And when the monsoon hit, his boots never, ever dried. So he learned to sleep standing up. Imagine that for a moment. You're 18 years old, half a world away from home. And sleep means leaning against a muddy wall, trying not to fall over. Every single morning, you wake up, and the first thing you do is force your swollen feet into soggy, cold leather boots that feel like they're made of ice. Then you step out into ankle-deep, sometimes knee-deep, mud and sludge. The air is so thick with humidity you can practically drink it. On your back, you've got 60 pounds of gear, and you have to hump it, as they called it, through what feels like jungle soup. Your world shrinks to the back of the guy in front of you. What about food? Forget home cooking. Your meal for the day often came from rations. Picture this: cold, canned spaghetti that tastes more like the can it came in than food. Or maybe some canned ham and lima beans. You'd choke it down because you needed the energy. And to wash it down, you had one canteen of water. It was almost always warm, tasted of plastic, and you often had to share it with your buddies. Thirst was a constant companion. Then there was the mail. A letter from home was like gold, a lifeline to a world that felt a million miles away. But it took 3 weeks to get to you, if it even got there at all. Sometimes the letters would arrive soaked and barely readable. And the silence between those letters was deafening, filled only by the constant, unnerving soundtrack of the jungle. First, you'd hear the crickets and the strange night birds. Then, you'd hear the distant thud of mortar. And then, the most terrifying sound of all, absolute silence. When these guys wrote home, they wrote about courage and doing their duty. They didn't write about the trench foot that made every step agony. They didn't describe waking up in a makeshift hole to find rats chewing on their eyelashes for the salt. They couldn't explain the smeller permanent mix of diesel, sweat, blood, and a kind of fear that clung to their clothes and skin and never, ever washed off. That was the reality they lived, the part they kept to themselves. But here's the most incredible part. Amidst all that misery, they found ways to be human. They told jokes darker than the jungle at midnight. Jokes that only someone who was there would understand. They de-traded their last cigarette for a chance to read a letter from someone else's girl, just to feel connected. They carried pictures of each other's families, wives, and kids right next to their own hearts, making silent promises to get each other home. They weren't just a unit. They were brothers, bound by an experience no one else could comprehend. So, let me ask you, could you find a reason to laugh while wearing boots that never dry? Drop a semper fi in the comments if you respect the strength it took to stand tall through it all. And maybe tag a friend who thinks war is only what they see in the movies. Thanks for watching, and if you want to hear more stories like this, make sure to like and subscribe.